So, see, there is a reason why there is a poetic language. Because this is what I was saying yesterday, when the previous tone was all, cognitive. You need to understand what cognitively exactly what is Ishvara. But that it cannot remain only a cognitive pursuit. You have to see the beauty. So that means that the language changes. So this is where what Surya was saying, that kind of another person in you is evoked. Because otherwise what happens is, cognitively you begin to understand your emotional life remains the same. So, or you use it only as some kind of formulas, you don't use it as a transformational learning. So that means different, because knowledge means all the fact, you're creative, you're cognitive, you're emotional, you're spiritual being, everything has to integrate. That is called knowledge. Otherwise it kind of remains in one area of our brain, it doesn't integrate with the other part. So more and more there is an integration, more and more it becomes a coherent vision which never leaves you. This is how it has to become. And that takes time. So this is how, now the language changes and makes you see the beauty of everything. So in that beauty is the awe. In that awe there is a resolution of a dissatisfied person. So this is what, these are the levels and levels and levels of changes that have to. Otherwise, knowledge, we think that we know, but it remains superficial. We don't realize that it is not taking deeper roots. Because it's not changing us, it's not shifting. So this is how the whole process Upanishad understands, and it makes you see the same reality from a slightly different. After having rigorously explained what it is, it makes you see the other side. So and now
they also say that the arts are very, they bring you very close to understanding
yes.
Truth and beauty and God.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like a shortcut in another sense.
Yeah. And this is another thing which is very beautiful, which I think is very important, because we kind of people make this thing that, oh, you're spiritual and you're still wearing nice clothes, that means you're materialistic. You're still looking nice, so therefore you're materialistic. That means a spiritual person look like a junkie and drop out. It's not true. That means within Ishvara is laws of aesthetics. Aesthetics is included in Ishvara. This is why deities are never shabby. Deities are always so well adorned. Right? They wear nice clothes, they wear nice jewelry, their hair is proper, everything. This spiritual junkie we don't want to be. In the name of, oh, I'm not interested in the material world. That means you're alive to the aesthetics. So that means when you see the rose, hey, it is supposed to what? Make you beautiful. If it invokes no kind of the thing of beauty, that means you have layers which are blocking you from actually seeing the beauty. You can't be insensitive to a beautiful blue sky. You can't be insensitive to this blue-green Ganga. It evokes, that sense of aesthetics is part of Ishvara. This is why, when we, as kids, we used to go to Matheran, Mahabaleshwar, and which is like little bit away from Bombay, not too far away, about 5 hours from Bombay, 3 hours from Bombay. And when you go, it's a hill station, so that means it's on a hill. And hill station, what do you do? There's nothing much to do. There are points that we go within that hill station. One is called Sunrise Point. So that means you go to the east side and then you see the sunrise. And that is supposed, everybody flocks there in the morning. What are they doing? They're just watching the sunrise. Because that is beautiful. You appreciate the colors, you really see, like how Rajan was saying, that when you're taking a dip and then the sun is coming out, it's a beautiful visual. even when you are shivering, you still have to appreciate it and you have to say, wow, what a beauty. You have to be sensitive. Then there are sunset points. So people flock to sunset points. And what are they doing? They're just looking at the colors that the sky takes when the sun is setting and seeing that how from this whole big sun then becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and then what is left behind are some colors which are taken over by the sky. Beautiful. Beauty. Beauty is not away from Ishvara. This is why art is manifestation of Ishvara. In fact, when we learn drawing, now what are we doing? Well, the kids, what do they draw? They draw mountains,
Sun.
they draw sun, and they draw the river, they draw a house, then characters within a house. Hey, this is what the original painter is, Ishvara. Universe came with that. With its beauties, with its colors, with its infinite colors, flowers. It's incredible how many different colors. This is how you convert your life from this dissatisfied, complaining human being to what a person who sees beauty everywhere. I mean, there is so much beauty, there is so much presence of Ishvara which we miss because we are operating from our own little world. We've become oblivious to everything that is around, which is given free entertainment show. Free entertainment. You don't have to pay anything. So that is how it is. So that these conversions are very, very important. Otherwise, we continue. When somebody says, hey, you are still materialistic, instead of, then what we have to say? There is no such thing called material. That is the real answer. Everything is Ishvara. That's what I'm learning. You don't have to justify that, oh, my spiritual, but still I'm material. That is not the right answer. The division that we make when there is only one and we take it as two is a problem. So that means all that is here, nothing is away from Ishvara. Every beauty is not in it. Because you are spiritual, you are denying beauty. That's not a problem. That's not the right understanding. So that means this is how these conversions have to take place before the knowledge takes place. So these verses are like that. The verses, they use the imagery. Now, we saw this bird imagery. So on one tree, there are two birds. One is looking down, the other one is looking up. So now, the way I described the one who's looking down is, it sees problems and all. Surya reminded me, it's not that we only see problems, we also see what? Sources where we think we can have a good time. Otherwise, what will happen? Everybody will be like so disenchanted with the world. The reason because of which we keep going is what? The world also consists of what? Gucci bags. And you want to have one. Attractive. Not only wars. And the world also consists of designer clothes. Attractive. And the world also consists of nice people who can do a nice haircut. Attractive. So that means it's not only bad things. The world offers us what? Many, many, many different things. And this is why when you're looking down, there are infinite data that they are given. You can spend lifetimes only what? Engaging in that data. And you can become even more and more refined. So that means your color, how do you describe a color? They see how sophisticated you are by how you describe the color. If you say blue, then you are normal. You haven't yet reached the refinement. If you say this is turquoise blue, then you got it. That means you are becoming, and there is no end to it all. You go to a museum and you are not able to distinguish between what is modern art and what is impressionist and what is the one before that, then you are not sophisticated. The minute you begin to distinguish, then okay, within impressionist, oh you can guess this is Monet, this is Renoir. Oh, you are even more sophisticated. This is how we keep going. And we keep going, and we keep going. So, and there is enough data to keep us amused, but it doesn't only keep us amused, it also brings what? Frustration. Why? Because everything that you want you can't get. You find somebody else with Gucci bag, but you appreciate the aesthetics. You love it, but you can't afford it. Problem. So everything is elusive also. So this is how you also pick up what you engage, you get what? Some moments of happiness, but you also get your fair share of disappointment. So first, what happens is the aesthetics is working and you are finding it what? Attractive. Now, there is another fact which also you need to consider, which is your financial situation. And if your financial situation doesn't allow you to afford it, that also is fine. You can tell, okay, I can afford it. Wonderful, there is no problem. But you see somebody else having it, then it will create jealousy in you. Now when it creates jealousy, either you really are okay with it, but if you are not refined, it can create jealousy in you. Now, when it creates jealousy, instead of saying, yeah, I am feeling jealous, let me kind of look into what is it, that is creating this jealousy. I then compensate for the jealousy because I can't see myself as jealous. So I said, this person is such a show-off. I'm feeling jealousy, but this defense mechanism does not even allow me to see it as jealousy, but engages in one more act of putting the other person down. This is how we become complex. So that means we carry dissatisfaction, we carry jealousy, we carry the additional burden of what? Degrading people. We keep on increasing our loads. This also happens. So the person who's only looking down will have good times, some moments, but along with it, it will what? Keep on collecting all of this. So therefore, now if you are stuck in that, so that means the creation comes with another possibility, another bird, which is looking up. And that looking up, as Gabi very rightly said, it is not to deny all of that and somehow say everything is Ishvara, everything is Ishvara. That will be stupid. It is to have a different perspective, a broader perspective. That while there are objects, when there are objects, there is one more entity which we miss. It is a matter of seeing something that we miss, not just reconditioning to make you believe it's wonderful. So that means you are seeing one entity which is Ishvara, the design, which itself is free but makes everything what it is. Your vision is shifted from the absolute reality of the object and engagement to the object to what? Appreciating the intelligence which makes everything what it is. And your vision also shifts to what? You and your attitudes. Because of your non-understanding of things, you had thought of the world in a given way, and that bringing in that entity allows you to what? Do the corrections in your own vision. Not only see Ishvara as everything, but your orientations have to change. It gives you an opportunity to do that too. My anger, my hurt, my guilt, all that has to be undone in that awareness. So that means there is a shift that is taking place. That shift is based on seeing realities. Yes, I have to keep emphasizing it, because those shifts, if they are made on some make-believe ideas, they will not last for too long. In fact, you will fall even further. So that's why you have to make that shift. The more you make that shift, your vision of what the world is, who you are, what's your position in the universe, what is your purpose in this universe, everything will change. It cannot but change. So many people come to Vedanta, to my classes, and they tell me that, oh, you know, in the last couple of years or 3 years, my life has really changed. Maybe some of it has to do with Vedanta. What does it mean? That consciously they take some data and they consciously make some effort to change it. Now, while that is happening, unconsciously many things are ruffling also, which we don't realize. When unconsciously things very deep inside are ruffling, our responses are going to change, which are not even the conscious effort that we have made. Something bigger is shifting within us. So that means, when they come, they are not even aware that the whole of the job is done by Veda. Because consciously they are making only this much effort, but unconsciously so many things are put in place, even if they are not consciously recognizing it. So this is how. So, yeah, I hope you don't mind, because everything that Shona tells me, she tells me. Okay, so she tells me not to share, but one thing I loved, and which is what I'm going to say. And this is exactly which was my experience. I'm saying that because it was my experience. She says, I'm able to think about things much more clearly, even solve things which I was not able to do before. And this is exactly what I found. In my work, I became like so much better. But not because I had read more or I had studied more economics, just because my clarity increased. Your mind clarity increased, your capacity to see things is just so much higher. And this is not a conscious, it's not like I want to use the clarity of Vedanta in becoming better in economics. This is not, the whole shuffle happens and you start seeing the effects in so many areas which you did not even intend. And this is exactly what Rajan was saying, that almost, he was funny, he was saying last night, almost nobody was talking to them. This is what he's saying. Then he says, we didn't worry about any of that, we started changing ourselves, and as a result of the change was not made to get people back to us. That was not the purpose. The purpose of the change was just to pay attention to yourself. A side effect happened, which is what people started coming back to them. And now they enjoy such a position among people. So this is what, there are some intentional things and there are so many other things which just happen. Just happen. This is the power of knowledge. This is why the less blocks you have, more the knowledge will penetrate through you. The more blocks you have, the less you are allowing the knowledge to penetrate through you. This is why, in fact, sometimes our past opinions, if they are born of ignorance, they are okay. But if they are learned ignorance, it is very difficult to remove. Learned ignorance is difficult to remove. Natural ignorance can go very fast. So this is how...
Because learned ignorance has many steps you have gone through in the wrong way.
Exactly.
So all the steps
so one has to undo so many before one gets it. This is how it is. So this is how you allow this whole knowledge to walk into you. Our teacher used to say the biggest challenge he has is to, work through learned ignorance. Learned ignorance means you got wrong ideas very actively. That it becomes difficult. So here, that the upper bird has been given the possibility to what? Understand life differently, and as a result of that changing of the vision, also what? Change one's emotional life, change one changes one's orientations of life, one's habits, one's meaning and purpose that one attaches to things, one's opinions about things. They all have to become refined. So this is why it may seem that our teacher used to sometimes talk about things which are not directly related to Vedanta, because he says, then people say, oh, he's going away from the topic. Swamiji said there is no going away from the topic because Vedanta requires a refined mind. So even when you are talking about music, Upanishad has got nothing to do with music. But when I make you see the fact that music has some sound harmonies which are what? Manifestation of Ishvara, and a human being is collapsing those harmonies, I am cultivating your mind to understand the multifacetedness of Ishvara. Even though music is not written in this verse. The whole method is like that. Your mind has to be cultivated. If you only understand this and you miss out on so many things which are not explicitly said here, your mind is still highly what? Limited. Staying with subject matter means what? If the subject matter of Vedanta is the universe, what is excluded? Tell me. If the subject matter of Vedanta is the cause of the universe, and if the cause of the universe is everything, what is excluded? Tell me. What is going out of the subject? Tell me. Even that statement shows so much ignorance that the mind, even to, it is amazing. It is the overall cultivation of mind which is so necessary to captivate or to capture the multifacetedness of Ishvara. You have to, nothing is excluded.
You can't even say nothing because nothing is also included.
Exactly. Nothing is also included. Everything. Shunya, the concept is also within Ishvara.
Exactly. So you can't even use that word.
Exactly. And with reference to everything, you have to have what? Right attitude, right values, you have to see realities. So this is how, this is the upper bird. The upper bird gives you possibilities to expand and expand and expand till you understand your own true nature, which is one with Ishvara. Expansion. And in the expansion, we are not in the denial of that thing, but what happens? That that given thing gains its right perspective. Otherwise, our teacher used to say, the way we live our life, small things become very big for us and bigger things are missed out totally. So how it has to happen is, so what does it mean? That somebody said the ardho papad. Somebody gave me half papad. It's a small insignificant event. It occupies my mind totally for 5 years. And the bigger thing, which I could have used that 5 years in doing so many things, and that is all missed out. Small things become bigger and bigger things are missed out.
You become the broken papad for 5 years.
Exactly. So this is what happens. So this is why this bigger perspective is so important. Now, where does this, so now let's bring back, so now the more the bird, in the case of bird imagery, before what, the bird wants to get some fruit and then something is coming on the way, so then the person is having fight with that bird because two birds want the same fruit. So on one hand the attractiveness happens, but then on the other hand the other rival is there. So fight happens. Everything happens when your vision is down below. What is the upper bird? The upper bird says, yeah, there are some fruits, there is also other rivals there, but we are all part of one great design. The tree is not isolated, the tree itself exists within the forest. Truth, increasing your perspective. The forest itself is in midst of what? The lands and the rivers. Truth. Before, what were you? All that was there. Where was your attention?
Down below.
Just two fruits, and you are fighting for that fruit. Then you say, hey, these birds, and how there is an interaction between the forest and the rivers. And then beyond the rivers there is a little village. And part of one great design. We all depend, there is a codependence. Without water, there could not be a forest. The forest itself, the presence of the forest allows what? Flora and fauna to be there. And by having that beautiful variety, it provides oxygen, absorbs carbon dioxide. All these activities are in part of one great design, all based on facts. And in that design, then what? There are also birds which are coming and sitting on me. Free show, beautiful birds, I look. Other birds, different size, shapes. They are not seen as rivals, they are seen as part of one great design. Shift. The villagers depend upon my job. I also depend upon villagers not to come and chop me. We all depend upon each other. And all of us together, make a whole. Then that who begins to see, then also begins to see, hey, who has put us all together? Is there an entity? Or it just somehow we have come together? Then begins to see the intelligence which is there, which makes the land what it is, makes the river what it is, makes the tree what it is, makes the forest what it is. There is the forms are very different. One is river, one is land, one is tree, one is bird. But one thing is common in all, and that is what? Intelligent design, intelligence. We begin to see something much beyond what the eyes can see. This is the person who is the upper. That capacity is given to every individual. We all can lift ourselves from the lower bird to the higher bird. All of us. So this is where the next verse now says, here it says, Samane Vrukshe. After using the bird, now it comes to Purushaha, the person. Samane Vrukshe Purushaha Nimagnaha Nishaya Shochati Muhyamanaha Vishtam Yada Pashyati Anishamasya Mahiman Iti Vitashokaha. Okay, seated on the same tree, the Jiva moans, bewildered. See, actually, Surya, my description was not so bad because it is in keeping with here. It is frightened. Jiva is frightened. It is seeing beautiful things but is also frightened. So, bewildered by its importance. But when it beholds the other, the Lord worshipped by all and His glory becomes free from grief. So that means, what is this? Now, in this vriksha, what is a vriksha? If you apply the analogy of vriksha to us, what is vriksha? The body. And what are the two birds? One is what if you use only perception and inference, the data which is provided to you. You see objects, you see you as separate from everything else, and you start engaging. You see some good things, you can learn to be a little bit more responsible, but things which are giving you grief, they are unavoidable. And over a period of time, those sources of grief, anger, they mount. And then you begin to live with an orientation that either I am a victim or I am no good, or all these loaded onto your being. This is what we call the lower bird. Now, you're also given the capacity to understand a bigger picture. So when you collapse the thing to understand the bigger picture, then what happens is you begin to see more than what your eyes could see. You see more than what you could infer. You understand more than what you could infer. You begin to see one presence, which is an all-pervading presence, and that is Ishvara. That is a higher bird, which is a potential that we are all born with. The more you collapse that potential, the upper bird becomes what? Is strengthened and strengthened and strengthened. It first starts only with something small, then little bit more, then little bit more, then little bit more. So this is why at some point the person doesn't just say, yeah, there must be something which has made us all. Person doesn't say, yeah, there must be, the person begins to see. The person begins to relate. In that, what are the ways to relate to this intelligence? What are the different ways that we have to relate to intelligence? Tell me.
Actions towards everything.
Excellent. It could be one of the things is in your actions, because the choices that you make are part of the design, in the sense that the design gives you the options of choices. The choices can be in keeping with the order, or it can be against the order. Against the order means
The law of Dharma.
Law of Dharma, exactly.
You just become sensitive as to how things work.
Exactly.
And then it's all part of the same in yourself.
Exactly. So that is only one way, right, of relating to the total, through your actions. Be careful about your actions. Then what else? Understanding. Understanding what?
Living with gratitude. In terms of looking at every form and seeing the intelligence behind and having gratitude.
See, this is what that whole practice of upasana was to do that. So generally you only see tree as tree. You see moon as moon. You see sun as sun. Using this knowledge to wear this without it being in denial. That denial is a problem. Where you see the sun, that's exactly where you have to see what? Ishvara. That's why you can't ask, if you understand, you can't ask the question how to relate to Ishvara. Because there is no Ishvara hanging in the air away from everything. So this is why you use your deliberate effort to see. Where you see sun, you begin to see Ishvara. Training. And then where you see Ishvara, then you have to do that. And that means it can be done in what? Any given object. Any given object. That's a practice. Because then you will only, initially what will happen? You will see Ishvara in only things that inspire you, right? So you will see, look at the sun and you will say, oh, there is this intelligence. Then you will see the moon, then you will see the intelligence, then you will see the stars, and then you will see intelligence. Then what will happen? When you see something which you don't like, you also have to include that. Then only your understanding, so that without denial that one form is inspiring. See, you can't use wrong logic. You can't say, because everything is intelligence, therefore let me like everything. That is a silly logic. That means some things are what arranged in a way that things are what it looks ugly. True. The form is different from a beautiful form. If you try to confuse and convince yourself every form is the same, that is how we take our understanding. Every form is not the same. There are all different forms. Some are aesthetically more pleasing than the others. Fact. But both are created by what? The intelligent design. That intelligent design is free from what? Both the forms, reality.
And the truth is, unless you have this, the other aesthetics also you cannot see.
Exactly.
The difference.
In order for you to develop your aesthetics, so that means it needs that. So that means the world, because in fact it says, if all of us have to enjoy our fruits, the results of our actions, and if we have Papa, you can't have only beautiful objects in the world. Not possible. You need to have what? Because this place is where you have come, is to what? Not just come landed up for no reason. You have come to enjoy what? The karma phala. If your account has both punya and papa, if the objects are only pleasant, how will you exhaust your papa? That means you need bacteria. You need amoebas which enter your stomach and give you a hard time. So that means this is how we exhaust. It's a karma bhumi. So the world cannot be of only pleasant things because our account has both punya and papa. So this is why, this is also the intelligent design. The objects are created to give us unpleasant situations which are in keeping with our karma, designed without any intent. That means this is a design of the universe. Situations are created which will give us a tough time, design of the universe. Because through that we exhaust our karma phala. This is the design. The more and more you see the design and the infallibility of the design, the less you ask the question, why is Ishvara making me suffer? This question will disappear. The question has to go because it's a wrong question. The more you, that's why then you said, okay, listen to Vedanta again. That is the answer. Not because you don't ask question, because I don't want to answer question. In the understanding of Vedanta, this question will disappear. That is the answer. Not like, oh, don't ask questions. Oh, there is no answer. That is not what it is. When you understand, the question will disappear. So that is how it is. So that this person begins to see. So this is what Surya does everywhere. In the seeming disorder, you have to see the order.
Disorder is also an order.
Exactly. The seeming disorder. The seeming disorder is my sadness. There is an order. There are reasons. There are reasons. So that means when you see that there are reasons, it's not that somebody is making me suffer. This orientation, first I thought my dad was making me suffer. Then you thought, now you say, okay, I've learned Vedanta, Ishvara is making me suffer. It's not. This is a problem. This is what is, one has to give up that. That means your understanding of Ishvara is still only be what Ishvara is some big uncle who is making me. So that means you have a long way to go before you understand what Ishvara is.
The other thing scientists also do this is saying, because I cannot understand the sea intelligence, it is chaos.
It is exactly, absolutely. This
It's
is
random.
It is
random
random.
theory, because I can't figure out,
Absolutely.
so therefore it has to be random.
Absolutely. So this is how one has to see it. Now, so that means this is all conversion. The higher bird, more you inquire, more there are shifts, When the shifts take place, all our operating as individual has to change. Otherwise, a lot of times people ask, so what if I understand if there is Ishvara and all, how does my life change? Everything about your life has to change. Everything. Your actions, your attitudes, your behaviors, everything, how you respond to situations, how you deal with your emotions, all of it has to change. All of it. Because your understanding is different now. So, this is what happens. Now, ultimately, this higher bird who incorporates Ishvara, where does he end? The ultimate is what Vita Shokaha Bhavati. So first you relatively get well in your understanding of Ishvara, and then you are ready for getting absolutely well by knowing your true nature. You first have to get relatively well before you get absolutely well. So that you can't go from unwell to absolutely well. Order. This is what we mean by order. No matter how much you try to skip, it will not happen. It will be counterproductive. So this is what, from unwell to relatively well, and from relatively well, for relatively well you need Ishvara. Understand Ishvara, how the world works, is different from what you have concluded. And then absolutely well. So then what happens is he gets Vita Shoka. So here the next one is Eshaha Devaha. So now sometimes in the Upanishad, the upper bird, so now here we use this upper bird as our own faculty to understand the presence of Ishvara, and then what? We finally react. We use the upper bird like that. But sometimes the Upanishads use the upper bird, the imagery, to show that there is one thing which is a jiva, where what? This is body, mind, sense complex. Where there is jiva, there exactly there is what? Vastu. That way also the example is given. The vastu which is not getting involved at all in anything. Vastu means Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. So the same imagery can be used in different ways to demonstrate different points. So don't say, oh now here you use it like that, then why that Upanishad is in? This is what is called methodology. You can use imageries to convey what different is. Imageries are not true, they are an aid to convey something. Then you can have multiple use of the same imagery. So, this is how it is used. Esha Devaha Vishwakarma Mahatma Sada Jananam Hridaye Sannivishtaha